Hey, team players, and welcome back. Today's going to be a great one. Super excited for the day. Obviously, we're doing another best ball draft. This will be on Underdog. Q&A throughout the entire thing. Bring your redraft questions and everything that you want to know so we can give amazing results for you. This is where winners come to learn about how to build the best team possible. We create winners week in, week out, both on the best ball side as well as in the redraft side. So let's get this one started. So, Bob, super excited for today, man. Lots of new stuff happening after the first week of preseason games, seeing some injuries, seeing some moving parts, man.
Yeah, a lot of things to think about here, Joe. Couple of news and notes that I think are worth thinking about as it comes to fantasy relevance for a couple of players. Love it, Recon. You have been an OG. It's been nice. It's been nice to have you this whole time. News and notes, right? Alexander Madison injured his neck, out for the season. Ollie Gordon climbs up the board. Other note from that Miami game, Malik Washington was in on the first 10 drives and got 4 for 4 on targets, and those were from Tua. So, we've been talking a little bit about Nick Westbrook-Akine earlier on, but it makes me wonder how much we should be pushing Malik Washington down at the back end of drafts along with Ollie Gordon if you're building some Miami teams. Secondly, Landon Dickerson, offensive lineman for Philly, injured, carted away. Usually the cart, they cart everybody away when it happens, but I am definitely concerned about that in reference to potentially some tush push. So people might be pushing Hurts down the board a little bit. So it could be some good time to get some value in. And then just a couple other things. The Chargers passing game didn't look too good, but Gadsden got a lot of first team looks there. Tyler Shook and Spencer Rattler didn't look great. But Tyler Shook came back, bounced back real well. So we'll see how this affects some draft capital in this fast puppy that we are in right here.
And guys, we're gonna start the puppy here at 3:51 Eastern. 3:51 Eastern. And yeah, Thornton here. Let me first talk about Shook, then we get into Thornton, guys. In that Chargers game, they let the rattling gun have every drive of the first half except for the last. Impressive by any stretch of the imagination. Didn't really get much done. Zero anything. They gave Shook.
Joe, what are you doing there, bud? Come on. You live? All right, are we back? I think we're back. I did not join in the puppy yet because of the Wi-Fi issue. I believe we are back and rolling, guys. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what was going on. I got to get everything logged back in again. So give me 1 minute. We'll be back rolling again. That was like a hyper Wi-Fi issue, guys. But yeah, Maddie, in regards to your question here, when we look at the top 3 picks, I think there is for no uncertain way that you could put anybody, Jamar, Bijan, absolutely there. You could fight Saquon in a lot of you could fight.
Okay, guys, it says I just finally got back in here at working. At 54, we're going to click go time on this puppy. At 54.
I don't know what happened.
At 54, we're clicking go time.
I died. You died. We all, I like, everybody in the chat was like, oh, shit.
AT&T's getting hacked again, guys. You're going to see that story. You just saw the first victims right here in Pittsburgh.
What was going on with AT&T?
Oh, you remember that story like earlier in the summer? Hit go time, guys. Hit go time.
Yeah, we're in now. guys.
Don't you remember that story earlier in the summer?
Yeah, but nobody has AT&T Wi-Fi. I have Verizon. But yeah,
when you're special.
When you're at the 10, here's the thing. With Puka, with the injury to Stafford and people really fading most of the Rams right now because of that injury that looks like it's going to linger and not going to be pretty good. I've seen Puka fall to like 12, 11, 12, even 13. But I think when you're up here at the 10 pick, you have to grab one of those wide receivers. And if you want, and we talked about this last week, if you want flexibility, you can by all means go after go after one of those running backs in JTHN or Henry.
Rob, I wish we were switched. I wish that you were the 2 and I was the 8.
And scooch back. And when you come back to the 3rd or 4th round or 4th and 5th round, getting Kamara, Sutton, Pickens, Chuba Hubbard, whoever's there, Bo Nix, Purdy a little bit later. I don't mind that at all. I also will say, though, that 10th pick also leads itself to getting either Nico or Neighbors, and then also on the next come around, potentially getting Drake London. And I would be open to that as well. You'll see that potentially here. In these puppies, I've noticed, as I said last week, that players like Chase Brown have catapulted themselves into the 2nd round. So in most large field tournaments, you are probably not going to be able to get him in the 3rd round anymore. As we talked about earlier on in the off season, that he was a good buy there in the 3rd round. Once Zach Moss left, once you got a better look at the situation, I think that when it comes to drafting these puppies, you're going to get some good looks at some certain players that maybe you weren't taking because their ADP was a little bit different. But as it goes, there are players that are a little bit higher. Dylan Sampson, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Woody Marks. Because of the running back situation and the lack of confidence there, a lot of those players are getting shoved up the board, where prior in different tournaments, especially Best Ball Mania, you were getting them at a good value. They don't feel as good of a value here. So just a couple things to keep your eye on. Also, Christian McCaffrey has catapulted himself, Joe. We talked about this last week, up into the middle of the 1st round. And for most,
I'm not a fan of that one.
A hard buy. What's happening, Jamie?
McCaffrey is not a hard buy for me at all. McCaffrey and Saquon, they're going to get hurt. And it's just, I know that's pessimistic and no one wants pessimism this time of the year, but I'm also about making money, and seeing my number 1 running back get broken is there. And McCaffrey going 6th overall is just a waste. Bob, you're on the clock. So that's just one of the things that I look at it here, and they're both avoids for me, especially in redraft. And I know that we've had a lot of talks about, like, if you're going to be drafting someone that's one of those 3, Saquon, McCaffrey, or Genty, knowing the likelihood of them hitting a wall, if not breaking their leg, you're going to want to have to build a team that isn't hero running back with them, because you're going to have the ability to trade them, especially Genty. Genty is so protected, you need to trade him.
Jamie, let us know how that was. I was telling Joe about that. We weren't able to go, but I've heard good things. I want to hear your opinion.
Dark side,
Tyler,
same page. Love it. Love it, dark side.
yeah, I at that ADP, I can't touch him. There's no way. So Tyler, on this question, thoughts on Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, and Mike Evans as well as Bo Nix overall, or should I try to grab a different QB? I made the mistake of going QB late. I
love Mike Evans this year.
Mike Evans is a buy. Here's the thing. He typically he's 1,000-yard guy, and he's been 1,000-yard guy for the majority of his career. And so when we look at, what could stop him? Well, the injury to Tristan Wirfs the first 4 games of the season could absolutely stop him. We have also more crowded room. We have Emeka Egbuka. Bucky's going to get some more share. Cade Otton maybe gets a little bit more looks. So maybe Mike Evans only tops out this year at like 925. However, Baker knows the incentives, knows everything that Mike Evans needs, like in terms of like career numbers, and he's going to get them there. So I think when you buy Mike Evans, you're buying a player who you're hoping has the same touchdown upside that he has had in his career. You're hoping that he gets the same-ish amount of targets that he's gotten in the past, even though you know that there is a chance that might regress a little bit. Now, as it goes to Garrett Wilson, you know that Garrett Wilson is the alpha on the team. Here's the problem, and this isn't against Justin Fields. So, just taking Justin Fields out of the discussion, period, and just with Garrett Wilson himself, think about the players that Garrett Wilson is facing. Garrett Wilson is going to be facing the alpha cornerback of every single team he plays this year. And while I am still buying Garrett Wilson, there is a question mark in my mind that said, well, if there's no real competition anywhere else on the field, he is going to be shadowed 100% of the time. And statistically speaking, Garrett Wilson has not done well against shadow coverage. So when we look at Garrett Wilson as a player, he could absolutely hit the same ceiling as Mike Evans and go beyond it. But the problem is that there are more threats on the Buccaneers that even though Mike Evans probably has slowed down a decent bit, that it's not going to be as significant. They're going to have
Bob, I want to take the counter to that point. The fact that there's more threats on the Buck means that there's going to be more first downs on Tampa Bay, and they're going to have the ball for more plays, and they're going to be in the red zone more. Have you ever had success with any of Justin Fields' receivers ever? That's the end of the discussion. Mike dropped down. We're done. It's Mike Evans. It's basically anyone over Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is a fine third-round pick because he gets open in zone, and the Jets have to give him the ball because there's no other option. Well, but you're basically going to get Ridley-level targets and potentially Ridley-level accuracy from last year. So 12 targets, 2 catches, that's a possibility for Garrett Wilson. It's probably closer to 12 and 8 catches.
Here's the thing.
But it's still, I don't think he's blowing the world up as a second-round value.
I'm still taking him in the third round.
I'm okay with that. I'm still
taking him in the third round. I think once you get past Jackson Smith and Jigba and you're into that Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson territory, it's almost like a coin flip. Garrett Wilson will inevitably go before Mike Evans all the time. So there's a good chance that if you're at the back half of that third round, early fourth round, you might get both.
Recon, I appreciate you calling out the one example it's ever happened with, because I will give that to you. That was DJ Moore's peak of his career, and that was with Fields. That's a good stab there, Recon.
DJ Moore had that one great game. He had like 50 points, but the rest of the year was okay. He was fantasy relevant, but I mean, when you're looking at third round players, if you're at that turn like 11, 12, in and around there, there's absolutely a framework where you can get both of them. No, we're going Rice. I don't care about the suspension. If I can get Rice in the fourth round and he's my third wide receiver with first round type of upside, I'm taking him all the time. So just like thinking about it there, I like both of them. I like both Mike Evans and Garrett Wilson. I like the upside of Garrett Wilson a little bit more, but in a vacuum, I could see people leaning their way over into Mike Evans because the touchdown upside is greater there than with Garrett Wilson, because the Jets are not projected to score that many points through the air this year. So it's a limiting factor if that's the direction that you're going. Now with Bo Nix, You guys know me. I am all on Bo Nix, and I think his ADP is fair for what you're looking at for a quarterback. Bo Nix is going around pick 96, right after Baker, right after Mahomes, and he's like around in that same conversation. People will take Kyler, people will take Brock Purdy, people will take Justin Fields. I like the upside that Bo Nix has. He has a lot of people to throw to. The one thing you might not like is that now that they have two running backs that can actually run the ball, he might not get those red zone looks as much as he might have taken last year. So there is a downside to Bo Nix there. And could there be a sophomore slump? Absolutely. But he has a great coach. He has a great supporting cast. He has a good offensive line that will keep him upright. And I think that there is only room to grow with a guy like Bo Nix. I really like Bo Nix. Do I believe in auto draft? No.
No.
I hate when auto draft some of my guys that I'm buying into, but I'm not an auto draft guy.
I will do you build up your queue and you just let that happen, because I'm big on building up my queue because you never trust Wi-Fi. But that's not true auto draft. That's more just me covering my own ass.
So here's the thing, Recon. You are allowed to hate Kyler as much as you want.
You should hate Kyler. You're allowed to. You should.
I'm allowed to love Kyler as much as I want.
Doesn't mean it's right.
But that, I will give it to you. That throw by Kyler was just atrocious. He didn't. There were other plays that he can make, but that throw was typical Kyler. I mean,
it was.
He's going to do that. He's going to do that every so often. But I think, actually speaking, like James Conner's value here in the 5th round, it's nice. I mean,
if he's healthy, it's great. He has
a really good value in the 5th round.
It's just not good for best ball. Conner
and his schedule. His schedule is so nice, so nice. So
if Kyler Murray doesn't ruin it,
yeah. And Tyler, if you've been sticking around the show for a while now, I'm a big Ridley guy this year. His ADP in this fast puppy climbed a little bit high, though. He's now being drafted in the 4th round when he was really very much just a 5th round guy. And so, wow, that was nice. Really just a 5th.
Slipping to you. That is nice.
Really just a 5th round guy. But his targets are going to absolutely be nuclear. You saw in this preseason game that Cam Ward was on him like white on rice, man. Like, he was getting him the ball. He was accurate. Calvin Ridley looked good. He looked real good in early preseason action. And I think that's a justified climb for a guy like Calvin Ridley. And in this fast puppy, you're not losing any value on him if he climbs up. If you're taking him in Best Ball Mania right now, though, you're probably losing a bit of value. But in terms of redraft, I'm absolutely on board with Calvin Ridley in the 5th round. If you can get him in the 5th round, and he's your 3rd wide receiver or your 4th wide receiver or even your 2nd wide receiver, he is going to go nuclear with targets. Whether he catches all the targets, that's a big question, but he could absolutely get Garrett Wilson level kind of targets, like 120 style targets in this type of offense, because he can still be explosive and he has good hands when he's given an accurate ball, Joe. And in terms of Pacheco, the only thing standing in Pacheco's way is Isaiah Pacheco. So, like, when you think about Pacheco as a player, he had burst before he got hurt. When he came back, we said this last year, he wasn't ready to come back. He wasn't going to look good when he came back. But you're looking at him as a 7th round, 8th round running back that could potentially throw up 20 points for you in a given week. So if you go 0 RB and you're comfortable with Isaiah Pacheco, that's fine. Like, you see Tony Pollard, because Spears got hurt. Tony Pollard's climbed up the board. And so the value.
Hey, how long Spears out for?
I don't know yet. I mean, it's an ankle injury, so it could be a high ankle sprain, could be a couple of weeks, could be, it could be back by week 2, week 3. But he's made out of glass. The guy's made out of glass. So, you got to at least be cognizant of that fact. So I randomly started talking to a dude Friday. He was wondering why all these people are here. He was just there watching his nephew Harold Fannin. Nice. That's really cool. I like to hear that. If I were to rank these 3 players, Magic, it'd be close. So I do like Kamara a lot at his value, and I think, like, contextualizing the value is really important. When we look
You're
at
taking Jacoby. You're definitely going to take Jacoby here.
When we look at this grouping of players specifically. So like Brees in the 3rd round, Kamara potentially 4th round, 5th round, Cook 3rd round, 4th round. So if I were to say like Brees or Cook, I'm probably on Brees because I think, like I said about the Jets are not going to have probably as many scoring opportunities as the Buffalo Bills. But the issue is that Ray Davis was more efficient last year. So when and Josh Allen is still there to take targets as well. And James Cook is not your typical pass catching running back, but Brees Hall is. So I think Brees Hall could have an HN level type of value this season. I don't think we're out of the realm of possibility where that could be the case. And I think that looking at it in that capacity, that Brees Hall in the 3rd is good. He's still, it's not like he's lost all of his explosion. It's not like he's, it's not like he has all of a sudden become a terrible player, but the value is good there. Now with Cook, where Cook shined last year was in his double-digit TG games. So you were buying Cook because of the touchdowns, and we always talk about touchdown regression. So Cook is a big candidate for touchdown regression if they start giving the ball to Ray Davis. He's also a big touchdown regression candidate if they start passing the ball to Dalton Kincaid. He's also a big touchdown regression candidate if the wide receivers even start catching balls for 60-yard bombs from Josh Allen. So, at his value, you saw in this draft that he fell a good amount. Would I take him where he fell in the 5th round? Sure. I was hoping that he would come to me in the 5th round. That's good value. But again, he might not play. So like there's a reasonable expectation here that this is Brees or Kamara. And I like Kamara's value better than Brees's value, but I think that Brees is more explosive to a degree than Kamara, but they both, I think, are going to end up in a similar-ish role. So you have to kind of bet who's going to score more touchdowns this year, the Saints or the Jets, and that's kind of a shit bet either way. So like,
that's like kinda it is.
So like, if I only have one chance at it, I'm probably drafting somebody else, not Brees Hall in the 3rd round. But if I'm in best ball and I'm drafting a bunch of teams like we do, I do have shares of Brees. So I would say Brees, Kamara, Cook the way you have it there. And I know people disagree with that. But I like Kamara at his value. And I'd be buying Kamara to this point. Kamara is over Brees and Cook if you just consider the value alone. You know what I'm saying? Like that value is insane. And Darkside, I get it. The kid can play. The kid's a good player. I mean, Garrett Wilson is phenomenal. So like if he's given the opportunity, again, the question marks about do we want to buy into the Jets? If you only have one chance and you want to get it right, is Garrett Wilson the guy? And I think 3rd round, like I told you guys a couple months ago, I'd be willing to buy him at the end of the 2nd round. He's definitely not a 1st round guy like we were talking about last year. But at that value, yeah, sure. I'm buying it every chance I get, every chance that he falls to me. Do I take him early 3rd round, Joe? That's the better question you have to ask yourself. Do you take him early 3rd round or not? We're going to pair him up right here. By the way. Should we be worried about DJ Moore like we are with MHJ? No, because here's the thing. In our early best balls, DJ Moore was going 3rd round. You just see right here, I was able to get DJ Moore in the 5th round. Okay. So when you look at the value, am I worried about DJ Moore? Yes, because Caleb Williams isn't that great. However, am I worried about DJ Moore for the value? No. So like, that's the piece to think about. His value makes a lot of sense right there. But, you've got to ask yourself, am I willing to, if I take DJ Moore, do I want to stack? What am I doing with DJ Moore? You know what I'm saying?
You're losing with DJ Moore. That's what you're doing. If
he's your 3rd wide receiver, cool. If he's your 2nd wide receiver,
you should draft a good running back.
If he's your 2nd wide receiver, that's fine because that meant you probably took talent elsewhere. When I look at MHJ, yeah, you might be worried about MHJ because of the quarterback situation. You might not like the quarterback situation, and that's fair. But I think that DJ Moore is a better value, and I'm not worried about him as much because I'm not taking him in the second, third round. If I had to take him in the second, third round, I'd be a little bit more concerned by the way Caleb Williams looks right now. But again, you know, getting used to a new offense, getting used to everything. I'm not too worried yet because the reason why is that the one thing that MHJ isn't getting that DJ Moore is getting is manufactured touches. So if DJ Moore can get manufactured touches, he's a screaming steal there in the 5th round because he's capable of putting up 17, 25, 30 fantasy points a game if he's able to get into the end zone. So, like, it's all about value at that same kind of thing. Caleb has been bad. We know this. It shows where his value is in wide receivers. And it's showing in best ball that he's still on the board.
I thought he had the best situation of all time when he got drafted.
ADP 113, and he's still on the board. So, like, all things considered, everybody needs to be aware of that when you look at the numbers on ADP, people are scared of him. So he's going to be a value for some people. I could take him, but I already have 2 quarterbacks.
Value if he does give you points.
Another quarterback. He could, and in best ball situation, I'm not taking him in redraft. That's the thing, guys.
But it ain't gone, huh?
I'm not taking him in redraft, period.
No.
End of discussion, right? So if I'm in redraft and Caleb Williams is on the board, I'm going to let him continue to drop. If it's best ball and I have DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, sure. You know, no skin off my back if that doesn't work out because he's probably not the best quarterback on my roster. DJ Moore does have target competition. MHJ has a quarterback that's 3 feet tall. These are the issues, right? I mean, these are the issues that people are going to be
3 feet tall and mentally even shorter.
Marv's competition actually for me isn't any of the wide receivers. It actually is, you know, Kyler Murray himself. You know, so you look at Kyler and you say, well, like, where does Marv have a chance to get touchdowns? Well, Trey McBride is the same way. And so you kind of have to like lay into it and say, okay, well, Kyler's got to pass more this year. So for most people that don't believe in Kyler, MHA is completely off the board, no matter what value he falls at, no matter where he's being drafted at. If you don't like Kyler, you're not drafting
Garrett Wilson last year.
You're not drafting. And we saw this on last Wednesday when we went over the passing charts for these players, right? And McBride, most of his plays, he was able to get a lot of yak, but most of his plays were close to the line. So, like, you look at it and you say, all right, well, what's going to happen here? Kyler can't grow 2 more feet, but Caleb Williams can get more accurate. You know, so like there is.
You can't get accurate from your back.
Yeah, but you can't grow. Kyler's done growing. So like let's.
He's definitely done growing mentally. He has shown that time and time again.
You know, let's just like think about that, right? And I'm still taking Spears here again, best ball format. I'm not 1,000%. You know, if he doesn't play, he doesn't play. It's fine. Hold on, let me queue up a couple people here. I got to go after tight end soon here.
Yeah, someone took the Joku off me.
Yeah, somebody took Blue. Yeah, TTV Riz took Blue right before I wanted to pick him there. You know, I'm going to take a couple of back end running backs here. I think this is a solid enough team. The bye weeks could crush me, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, again, guys, like Kyler isn't great in a redraft format. But in a best ball format,
that Kyler isn't great.
In a best ball format, there is a chance that he has a great game and he ends up in your lineup. Now, the problem with Kyler, there's a lot of problems. But when we talk about value, it's the value of Kyler. People want to use Kyler as a Jalen Hurts type of like lower level, like, you know, oh, I'll buy Kyler because I couldn't get Jalen Hurts and I'm going to buy Kyler in the 8th round. But if Kyler was still sitting there like 10th round, people would be all about it. but you're never going to get them that late. And so you have to kind of ask yourself, what do I want to pass on to get Kyler? And I think that for a lot of people, it's like, oh, I'd rather have Drake May 2 rounds later, 3 rounds later. Oh, I'd rather have Bo Nix the same round. Like, do you want to take Kyler Murray in the 7th round like somebody did in this draft? Probably not. You probably don't want to do that. But people will do it. I mean, it's really a problem of mentality and like not believing in what he's shown in the past, because he's the type of guy that will disappoint you when you want him the most to not disappoint. I mean, he does it all the time. CMC at 105, Magic. We talked about this. I can't get behind it. I can't get behind it. And the fact that Kyler will rush more, until Call of Duty comes around,
Did you just take Likely?
Yeah, I like Likely. Why?
He's out for 6 weeks and probably not going to be healthy for 10.
So what? Best ball, dude.
Who's your starting tight end?
I'm going to get it right here.
Oh, you got to get Hunter.
Yeah. I'm going to take 3 tight ends. So don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm worried about it. I knew you weren't going to take Romeo Dobbs.
No, I wasn't going to take Dobbs. I mean, this team right here is a little bit of hit and hope, but if it hits, I think it's got some good looks on it. Now, Likely falling to 166. Yeah, there's a chance I could get him after, but again, like Demario Douglas could be on the team, but I don't really need another wide receiver right now. And there's a couple other tight ends that I like on the board too. So all things fair, I don't think it's
Someone explain to me why Dobbs is dropping a round and a half.
Oh, he just continues to drop, man. Like people don't want any part. People don't want any part of the Packers passing game unless you have Jordan Love.
So I don't get that.
People are fading.
If you catch the right lottery ticket, you win a week. And I think Dobbs is that lottery ticket.
It's the whole point I was trying to make, kind of about like Kyler and guys like that, where you explode. You don't really want him as your only option. So people, when you take a guy like Kyler, you're afraid, so you kind of like double tap another quarterback pretty early, and there's ramifications to that, Recon said I'm a pick 10 and I wouldn't touch him on my draft day with my high school boys. I know as a fact he will fall to be in the 2nd. Yeah, the problem is though, if you're sitting at 5, Christian McCaffrey's not making it back to you in the 2nd round. So you really have to have the chutzpah to say like, hey, I'm going for it, right? Like I'm going for it right now. This is my time, and this is the player that I want, because you're not going to get him on the comeback, and that's kind of the same way for a couple other players. Like if you like Brian Thomas, there is not a conversation that you might be able to have with yourself that you could say, oh, I'm going to be able to get him in the 2nd round. Unless you're at pick 13 or pick 14. So there's a lot of question marks to, players like that where you might be concerned about it, but you're definitely not going to get them in the 2nd round. And if you want them, take them, right? All right. So what round are we in? 15? So
you have 4 more picks.
I like the new UI here where it shows you the picture of the player.
It's nice. I don't like that they took the bar away on the top that showed you the live.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
The live visual representation of their roster.
I mean, fair enough.
Although what I like much, much less is that guy took Jonnu Smith off me. That was hurting me a little bit. Both my tight ends got taken off me, and I never really replaced them.
Well, that's all right, though. All right.
I mean, Mark Andrews isn't the worst tight end to ride or die with.
No, did you take Andrews? Did you have Lamar? I haven't been paying attention to you.
Yes, I have. Yes, right. I have. That's why I have Bateman too.
I've been taking a lot of Lamar, Bateman, and Andrews. I think that's a great combination.
I love the AFC North. I mean, I got Chase as my 1st round pick. I took Judkins and Warren.
Yeah, and
Tillman's obviously on my team.
This is the question here, Recon, is that, when CMC's on the board, and do you want Gibbs or CD? And there's a lot of people out there that much rather prefer CMC's explosiveness from the past. But I think Gibbs, people are down on Gibbs because the offensive line took a hit, Ben Johnson, all this stuff. But I think that when you look at upside, that Gibbs does still have 30-point upside in a week. Is CMC there still? That begs to be the question. We need to see him in full game action, full pads, to see actually what is the outcome of that. Because there's a very real situation where that might not be it, and so taking him at 5 is a big risk, but it's a risk that most people are willing to take.
Ooh, Najee dropping all the way to 14.
Yeah, Najee's dropping, man. It is a pickle, Magic. It is. Because if you're wrong, you're going to be hazed. So, you have to be right. And for me, I think that pick is, I think it's a good pick. How many? 16. Okay.
So, Magic, I took Henderson in this draft. I think I got him in the 5th round. Let me go up and check. Yeah, I got him at 5-2. So Henderson's the guy that I have not been afraid to pick up.
I love CD. If you can go CD in the first round, pick 5, pick 4. If you don't want to go Gibbs, I love Gibbs more than CD, but if I needed a wide receiver and I'm sitting up there and I can't get Chase, it's CD. We know that Dak utilizes CD. We know all of CD's amazing qualities as a player. And we know that CD is one of those players that could absolutely be the number 1 overall player in fantasy football. He has that upside. Mm-hmm. So for me, a guy like CD is a guy that if I'm in redraft and it's a PPR redraft league, I absolutely want to leave the draft with CD, because I think that Dak, all things considered, their rushing game isn't great, guys. And there is a outcome where he might be passing the ball 30, 40 times a game. So all things considered, I think that it's worth buying into that. And I can understand why people wouldn't want to buy into it, but also at the same time, I really do think it's worthwhile to do that. Wumbo said here, I normally like the 8th spot, but this year I've been doing a bunch of mocks with that spot, and I feel like I always have to go wide receiver, and then hoping a decent running back comes back. But you don't, Wumbo. You really don't. You want to start
leaning the Bucky, Wumbo. Start leaning the Bucky.
You can hammer wide receiver. That's fine. And people do it. And, it's I wanted Theo Johnson there. It's a perfectly legitimate strategy there. But when you look at what's on the board, potentially in the 3rd round, you're still getting something decent, if not very, very good. The question is, do you have any of those running backs ranked over him? So Bucky, Chase Brown, JT, Jacobs, and Genty, right? Would you rather have one of those running backs, or would you rather have the running backs in the vein of Kyron, Brees, or Hampton? And, in all honesty, I think it makes more sense to take a running back in the 2nd round, because those wide receivers in the 3rd round have just as much potential volume as the wide receivers sitting there in the 2nd round for you. You can see it from this draft when Joe goes back up to the top. You can see that's what could happen. So all things the same, I think that for flexibility's sake, you want to leave yourself open by taking one of those running backs there in the 2nd round. But I understand why people don't want to at the same time.
Yeah, I want to do another one of these where I have the 8th pick for you, Wumbo, because I love the 8th pick in this draft and the 9th. So we're gonna be firing up. And Bob, you go in Survivor. I know that I push Survivor literally every time.
No, let's do another puppy. I want to do another puppy. Right. Yeah, I don't want to do an eliminator right now. My mindset's not. I'm not in the eliminator mindset right now.
Not in the eliminator mindset, he says.
Having 2 alpha wide receivers by round 4 it's just, and people go, oh, I want to have 2 alpha running backs, 2 alpha wide receivers. I think when we look at alpha wide receivers, though, guys, one of the best things to look at is,
I got both of those.
year over year volume, right? So like Nico, CD, Jamar, Jefferson, Nakua, Neighbors, Thomas. The reason why most people consider these guys alpha wide receivers, right? Is
New puppy's got to fire up at 4:30 Eastern. 4:30 Eastern. New puppy.
Because the volume is there, and these guys can ball. These guys can catch. But when we think about alpha wide receivers, the discussion is like, well, is Calvin Ridley still an alpha wide receiver? Can JMO be an alpha wide receiver? Like these are kind of the good discussions to have when we talk about needing 2 alpha wide receivers, because in my mind, the alpha wide receivers kind of end after AJ Brown, right? And then they pick up again with a Garrett Wilson, with potentially a Tet, and with Calvin Ridley, and maybe even Sutton and Rice, right? So like, is it that you're getting the alpha wide receivers? If I could get AJ Brown and Nico, sure. If I could get Brian Thomas Jr. and Amon Ra, or Brian Thomas Jr. and Drake London, sure, right? These are all different combinations of the 2 alphas that make a lot of sense. Recon said, and pick 10 and draft in 16 days, ADPs will change and stuff for me. But I was also thinking the same. Yeah, Neighbors in London, I think is a good combination. And like you said, just going after those middle, like the 3rd, 4th round running backs, 5th round running backs, like, James Conner, Trevion Henderson. If your second back is Trevion Henderson, I really don't think you're going to be losing so much value, guys. Because
Trevion Henderson, gaining value with Henderson as your second running back. I think he's
Trevion Henderson has a lot of explosion. Joe, absolutely smart about that. And being balanced is nice.
Wait,
being balanced
did you just be smart about something?
No. You hate DJ Moore.
All right, jump in, Bob.
You hate DJ Moore is what I'm more so saying.
Bob, I think it might have filled without you in here.
Are you filled already?
I might be. It might have been just bad luck at the draw, but I did get the 10th spot.
All right. Well, you're going to see Joe's, and I'm going to draft on the other side of this, and we'll see who comes up with a better team here. It is best to lock up your
battle royale.
If
Bob's going to be basically answering your questions and drafting in the dark. You guys get to see my roster.
When we look at wide receivers, if I'm drafting in a 3 wide receiver league, it makes a lot of sense to take 2 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds. If it's a more balanced league, with a 2 and 2, maybe it makes more sense to go running backs there. So Joe's in this one. I'm waiting for this one to fill. There's one more person there.
Yeah, they filled up real quick.
Hurts's value is crazy. I will give you that. So if anybody's in Joe's draft or mine,
from our live feeding yours, just do that.
I don't know. Do I?
If you don't, then you don't, and then we'll just do mine.
All right. Which one are you guys in? Is anybody in one of these right now? I love this one though. He's wishing.
I love you, room for me, Recon. I love you, Recon.
Oh, dirt balls. Yeah, the earliest I grab Henderson is probably early 5th. But if I know I can't get him in the 5th, I'd probably jump him up to maybe the 4th round. Maybe.
I think 4.5 is fine. I think 4.6 is fine for him.
5th is way more comfortable.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously.
Dark side. This is what Joe's trying to tell you in the early best ball formats. Tyler Warren seems like a cheat code, Joe.
That's right.
Seems like a cheat code in these best balls. It's nice to have.
Nice to have some volume there.
Yeah, Wumbo. Najee has slid significantly.
So hard. His value blew up like a firework.
Super significantly. In my draft here, CD went 2 overall, Joe.
He went 3 overall here.
It went Jamar, Chase, CD, Bijan, and then I had Gibbs at 4. What's up, KJ? How's it going, man? Yeah, I feel that. Like, having Devonta Smith as your wide receiver 2, and he's a wide receiver 2 on the team, I get it. He's more comfortable as a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. If you get Jalen Hurts, though, I think pairing him up with Devonta Smith is a good play in best ball. If it's a redraft league, I maybe want to get a little bit of Dallas Goedert, if it's a redraft league, because he does have that 20-point plus upside that most tight ends don't have, but he has to stay healthy. Most people know that he's not going to stay healthy. Yeah, KJ. Redraft quarterback option to draft Purdy or Dak full PPR. There's going to be a lot of people on a lot of different wavelengths on this. But here's some perspective to look at, right? Both Brock Purdy and Dak do have slight injury risks. However, the upside and their wide receiver rooms are very much different. There is really no alpha-ish wide receiver on the Niners right now, right? And all of these players seem to be just rolling in injuries. So will Brock Purdy have elite options to throw to? You know, I don't think that there's going to be an undeniable problem with Brock Purdy at his value, especially in redraft leagues, because in redraft leagues, you have to remember, people probably aren't thinking of Brock Purdy as the 12th best quarterback or the 10th best quarterback. So you look at it and you say, you might be able to get Brock Purdy at a discount because more people will probably push Dak, knowing that Dak's weapons are healthy and Brock Purdy's weapons are not healthy. However, the bonus points to Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy runs the ball. Brock Purdy scrambles, and Brock Purdy has a chance to get rushing touchdowns. Dak does not. And for me, that's the defining characteristic of who I would rather have. It'd be Brock Purdy because he does have that touchdown upside through the running game. Now, full PPR doesn't really matter for the quarterbacks, but you know, if you're thinking about, I want to pair him up with a stack in my redraft, which doesn't pay off as much in a redraft as it does in best ball format. If I'm going for that stack, right, then you could point yourself into a CeeDee Lamb Dak build. But if you're just taking the quarterback to take the quarterback, Brock Purdy probably has more upside from a fantasy perspective. But if you're taking the quarterback for the stack because you want that double fantasy, you want that, you know, the double points with CeeDee, I think that that's also a smart decision to go with. What do you think on Joe?
So again, you gotta get the stack part right when you're thinking about it. I love Dak this year. Everything about Dallas screams they're going to be a competent, high-passing team, and everything coming out of the Bay Area is still a question mark. I mean, at the end of the day, aside from Kittle, who has never really been a beacon of health, who's healthy that you can rely upon and know about? So I am much more on Dallas. They actually have 3 legitimate pass catchers for the first time in years. I am much more on Dallas than the Niners. I think the Niners, once again, are a tantalizing build, but it's it's like the really, really good sandcastle when there's a little bit of wind in the air. Like, this thing could win the contest, but it easily could get swept out to sea or have some kid run it over. So that's how I view the Niners overall. And, you know, basically that's my take on them.
Man, there's a running back run in my draft right now. Bucky, JT, Chase Brown, Jacobs, all in a row. Right at the turn. It's wild.
I'm bucking the trend, going 3 receivers off the jump. No one in my draft has done that.
Do I like Jaden or Hurts? I like Hurts at his value more than Jaden at his value. Right now, Jaden's like a 3rd round, end of the 3rd round, early 4th round, and Jalen Hurts tends to follow him a little bit more. But typically speaking, Jalen doesn't go in the 1st round, or in the 3rd round, I mean. So when I look at it and I say, like, oh, which one has better potential? I think that Jalen Hurts, right, with the injury to the offensive lineman, I think that there's cause for concern that you would want to kind of maybe pump the brakes on Jalen, but his value's right. And James Daniels, I think Terry needs to be there for me to have super confidence in James Daniels.
Terry's going to be there.
So James Daniels is one of those guys where, here's the thing. Is he going to have 800 yards, 700 yards rushing again? Well, if they can't figure out the running back situation, or Brian Robinson Jr. is unhealthy, or Austin Eckler gets hurt, or Ja'Cory Cross-Meyer, or Debo, whatever, right? So there's a lot of question marks to what that backfield is going to look like, what the rushing game is going to look like. But I have a question to say, like, is he going to rush for 800 yards? Is he going to be the Lamar comp, or is he going to comp differently this year? Okay, so that's kind of the question mark that you have to ask yourself about Jayden Daniels. Is that, does Jayden Daniels have, and this is where it diverges from Hurts, does Jayden Daniels have 30 plus passing touchdown upside and 600 plus rushing yards upside plus 4 touchdowns rushing upside? Or does he only have about 22 to 25 touchdowns in him in the passing game? If you put him on the low end, you're drafting Hurts. If you have him at the higher end, you're drafting Jayden Daniels. And I think that he probably falls somewhere in between. And I don't think that either are bad value where they're at. It's just I slightly lean Hurts a little bit more. And you see in this draft specifically, Hurts went above Jayden Daniels. And you're going to see that sometimes. By the way, I got Josh Allen in mind.
Yeah, no, I am really, really feeling it because I was banking on Hurts coming to me, and he did not make it back to me.
And Magic, is this up 4 points for all touchdowns? Is it 4 points for all touchdowns? Because if it is, I'd probably lean Jayden Daniels a little bit more, potentially. KJ here. Thinking about punting the tight end position, you know I'm all about that life, KJ. If I'm not getting McBride, you could convince me maybe.
Bowers is the one you want. You don't want McBride. I don't know how many times to tell you don't want McBride.
You can convince me to take another tight end, but once you start seeing the value that's there in the 10th, 11th, 12th rounds, you're going to want to punt. And so when I look at these candidates, these are the players that I like. And for what reasons I like them. Hunter Henry I like because he was a target hog last year for the most part, but didn't turn in touchdowns. So I think it was Austin Hooper got some red zone touchdowns. So if you believe Drake May, right, is going to push for a significantly larger chunk of passing touchdowns, then yeah, by all means, buy into wow, it's crazy. Okay. All right, we're gonna go safer option here. By all means, buy into Hunter Henry at his value. I think he's a great value. There's more target competition, so be mindful of that. But I don't think there's a problem with Hunter Henry. I'm out on Jonnu, even though he is good value. I am out on Jonnu at his current price, even though he's much lower now. In redraft, I don't think you can trust him. I really don't think you could trust him with Freiermuth there. And the fact that, Aaron Rodgers is kind of a wild card. Is if he likes you, he's going to get you the ball. But he might not like you in a given week. So that is a huge, huge, huge question mark to kind of get around, right? You want to buy Trevion there.
Bob, I just wrote I went 5 straight receivers to start a draft.
Yeah, you did. That's wild, bro. I got literally
all 3 of them, Hubbard, Henderson, and Kamara, I lined up. I'm like, I'm going to get at least one of them.
I have 1 wide receiver through 5. So I'm like kind of the opposite. But the value I got on some players, I think, is nice enough that they're right around ADP, but it's a nice looking. I basically got all players at ADP, but it's a nice team. I'm going to stack up some other wide receivers coming in hot here. I would have really liked. I should have went with that because I had him. We'll see. But yeah, so yeah, Jonnu, I'm not on. Zach Ertz, you can convince me. I mean, he was thinking about retiring potentially, but he's also a red zone target hog as well. And we know that Jayden Daniels, like I said, if you think Jayden Daniels is going to continue to be productive, Zach Ertz is a total buy at his price. And Brenton Strange has upside. And his price is worth it, especially in best ball format. Could I be convinced to start him immediately in redraft? Maybe not. But his price is right that he has enough upside that it's going to be worth it. And Arroyo, I'm about that life. Sam Darnold passes it to the tight end. I'm about Arroyo. He has the skills, he has the talent, and the offense wants to get the ball out to different people this year. That's why you bring in a quarterback that showed that in Kevin O'Connell's system. So, I'm in it. I'm in it for that. And I would, if I were to rank these later tight ends like that, I'd probably go from what I like: Hunter Henry, Brenton Strange, Zach Ertz, Arroyo, and then John. And many people will probably have different takes on that as well. Wumbo, I kept getting stuff similar to what Recon got with the neighbors in London, hoping to get Kamara type guy for my running back one. It all just depends on how people slurp up running backs and wide receiver. Yeah, I think if, here, guys, just as an example, in my draft that I just did right here, Kamara is going in the 6th round in these puppies. Right next to Igbuka, right next to Judy. So the value at Kamara is way better than I think you're getting on the value of Judy and Igbuka. So if you want to get him as your first running back, sure. I can't say that's the wrong play. You know what I'm saying? Ladd, Joe, why'd you take Ladd? I can tell you the answer, Recon, because he doesn't like Drake London. That's why.
Well, it's also I have Ladd rated incredibly high.
I would have taken Amon-Ra over Ladd, to be honest with you. I
know you would have.
That's a downright travesty that you just showed that on your screen, that you took Ladd over our boy, Amon-Ra. How could you do that?
Amon-Ra is my boy too, but I don't think he's actually been on any of my teams yet because normally he goes so super high. I take Collins over him. Again, I was amazed. That pick would have been Bucky. I was amazed Bucky was taken.
That's fair. I gotta think about a little bit what I want to build into some of these stacks. Josh Allen is just a tough one that, like, I kind of just want to roll naked with Josh Allen because I really don't like the early primary options.
I'm telling you, man, you want to get Coleman on the team.
Coleman could be good. I'm in a situation right now where I have a good talent on my team right now. And the question is, do I want to...
It's not like you're gritting your teeth as you're saying that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, but it's not balanced, is more so what I'm trying to share.
That's where I'm at, too. I have very good receiving room, but when Monty's your number one running back, you're going to be concerned.
Do I take Jennings? Take Josh Downs?
I take Downs over Jennings.
We'll go. Jennings fell. I mean, he fell like 10 spots, so I'll take him. Whatever. It's okay. Yeah, Ladd right now at the top of the 2nd round is a very questionable decision. I know he has the targets. I'm not as worried about Keenan because, like I said last week, guys, there's a very realistic. Again, he played at a level that was conducive to Caleb Williams last year, and Caleb Williams was, throwing some duck balls at most points in time last year. So you gotta ask yourself, is that like a retirement signing? Like, is that, or is this like he's going to get
$8 million signing? That's not a retirement signing.
He's going to get a full complement of snaps. He's older now, Joe. I mean, you look at it and you say, like, with the weapons that they have, they need him to be good. But he's 33 years old.
I guess I think retirement signing as he's just going to be around and not do anything. They're going to put him on the field a lot.
I'm not saying
to take targets away from Ladd.
I'm not saying that they're not going to put him on the field, but like usability wise, do you want? I mean, Keenan Allen's price is right, so like, but Ladd is younger, so why would you feature? The question is, why would you feature Keenan Allen more than your young guy who you want to feature? So like, I'm not as worried about that, but I still wouldn't take Ladd at the top of the 2nd round. I think it's insane. Family, what's happening, man? Yeah, the Eagles did lose Landon Dickinson. That's what I was talking about. So that could hurt the value, or that could hurt Jalen Hurts and Saquon. But they're such elite players that I doubt that it does, and it's going to probably push their value down a little bit more. So you can slurp them up, like get Jalen Hurts now while you still can. Yeah, in ESPN redraft, especially if it's a 10-man or 12-man league, absolutely. You can take certain players super late, especially quarterbacks. Like if you're sitting on a quarterback and you're like, oh, like I'm going to wait on that guy. Wait for as long as you can. Because I think quarterback, I think quarterback in a 10-man league, you're getting a little bit more value with Bo Nix as the 10th quarterback off the board. Even if he doesn't produce like Josh Allen does, you're still going to get production from a position that's not that Josh Allen, like that where you didn't take Josh Allen. So like there's a lot of things to look at there in terms of value. All right, I got a pick coming up here. Question is, who do I want? When's my next pick? All right, the next pick is pick 100. I don't like that Tyrone Tracy climbed up the board, Joe.
I yoinked him at 7-10.
Oh my God, you're taking guys way early, man. Way early. My board is way different.
Man, I'm getting the big.
Wumbo said that's what I'm talking about. If I do wide receiver, tons and tons of running backs go off the board before it gets back to the third round. So I have to choose between London and Kamara type or HN and Garrett type. Yeah, I mean the decision. Baker went off the board there. The decision is an interesting decision to make. Like I don't think that. All right, we're gonna go unusual. I don't think it's a bad idea to go wide receiver by any means. It can be very profitable to do so, but it can put you in a shit situation if running backs fly off the board. But likewise, if wide receivers fly off the board. But the thing is, I think that the fantasy point drop off is a bit more gradual in the wide receiver department than it is in the running back department, because some of the running backs that are being taken a little bit, in the fourth or fifth round, people still do have question marks about, and when you get to the seventh round, there's a lot of question marks. You just kind of have to take the guy that you think has the best situation. So there is a framework to do both. But if you only have one shot at it, I think you just have to really pay attention to your board. Really, really, really pay attention to your board. Yeah, way, way different in best ball, dude. The ADP for redraft, and we'll talk about this on Wednesday. The ADP for redraft can be wildly different, especially with quarterbacks, because if you look at the draft board, these quarterbacks are going really high. But when it comes to redraft, there is a conversation to be had that it doesn't make any sense that Joe Burrow would be in the 6th round, that he's probably going to fall, because once those quarterbacks are off the board, people are going to
the top 4 still will go. I mean, don't get me wrong. The top 4 still will go high because they're the top 4. And they can win you a league. But the rest of them, from Burrow all the way down to Goff, I mean, that's like 10 quarterbacks in that group. That not really that tangible of a difference.
So, family, Stafford off in there too. Just can't see the value in taking a quarterback early in a 1 quarterback 10 team. Yeah, there is no value unless you're getting Josh Allen in the 4th round, right? In the 3rd round. So, like, I could convince myself that that's kind of where I want to be at with some of these players. But I think most times, like in my redraft 12-team league, Josh Allen really very much goes in the 3rd round. And I think it's probably better to wait on Jalen Hurts, say in the 4th or 5th round, because you're getting enough value and you're pushing a guy that has just as much talent. So, but it all depends on your board. If guys are going to be taking quarterbacks off the board early, take them. I mean, take the player that you want, especially in a 10-man league. All right, so do we go there? Yeah, there's not a lot of tight ends being off the board there. I kind of want to get a tight end here, but I kind of need a wide receiver. All right, tight end. All right, we'll go tight end there.
Well, you're having a lot of angst over there.
I am, because every player that I'm queuing up has bye week hell with my other players. So I kind of have to look at some different values of players that I'm not always taking, which isn't bad. But I got to also think about who do I want to line up for certain games. And I want to get a stack in here too.
Stacks are important.
We'll see how that goes.
I stacked up my top 2 receivers.
Yeah, Recon, I understand that. I was just saying in best ball format, like we were saying, the ADP is wildly different. So 3rd round pick, even in our Scott Fishbowl contest, I believe he went 3rd round too. So like I get it. Like I'm there for it, and that's why on Wednesday we're going to take a look at some of the redraft ADPs because, again, these are going to be wildly different than what you've been seeing with best ball. And what platform you're drafting on? Kamara has been going like third or fourth. If I could get him in the 6th round. Yeah, I mean, again, just best ball format. That's what's going on.
That's exactly it.
Oh, nice. That worked out. That was beautiful. Just got Bateman at pick 124. Like that a lot. What makes more of why I want Kamara over Kenneth Walker? I would take Kamara over Kenneth Walker in a vacuum.
Me too.
But it depends.
It's going to be a higher scoring offense. Let's start with the basics, Recon. It's going to be a higher scoring offense. Kamara's more of a pass catcher.
It depends on my team makeup, though. Like, right. So if I took, and this is just an example, if I took a guy like JT in the 2nd round, or I took Achane in the 1st round, I might be willing to gamble with my fate with Kenneth Walker, knowing that Kenneth Walker still has a level of explosion that Kamara doesn't have. And knowing that the pass catchers and the quarterback situation could be better than the Saints. So there has to be like that cost benefit analysis there. If I don't have a running back yet, and I'm wanting a little bit more, a higher floor, I think I'd go Kamara, especially in a PPR league. I think Kamara gives you a higher floor. I think Kenneth Walker could potentially give you a really nice seal. But again, he's made out of glass. So he only gets about 15 touches a game. If he makes that up to 20, 22, 23 and plays, 14 games, Kenneth Walker could end up at a really high level. Again, we all know the metric. He positions himself well in terms of points per game. So if you get that version of Kenneth Walker, you're not going to be mad about it. But there is a likely story that you're not getting that version of Ken Walker. So kind of think about that. Oh, I don't like that at all. That sucked. But Recon here, if I want to take Burrow or Sutton Kittle on the early 4th, any advice? I like Sutton there in the early 4th. I think that Sutton's targets are pretty safe, especially if I'm thinking about Bo Nix a little bit later. Sutton's a pretty safe pick. He has competition from Ingram. He has competition in the running game, but I think all of that kind of benefits Sutton a little bit more because Sutton is a threat to score, consistently, and Bo Nix knows that. And like I said, quarterbacks don't all of a sudden forget who their best options are, even if it's a crowded room. So if Sutton is the best option there, he's going to get the ball to him, and he's going to get volume. Especially if Bo Nix improves upon this year, I think it's great. And Magic, in terms of redraft, I don't think it's a bad idea at all to go for Charbonnet. Charbonnet is a super talented player. And if it swings to you the right way, Charbonnet can absolutely, we saw him last year, put up 20, 30 points and win you a week. So like for me, yeah, absolutely buying into that. Damn it. Why?
Who we upset about, Bob?
Why? No one.
That was a lie. You just lied to my face, Bob.
No, I don't understand Underdog. Okay. Demario Douglas just went 149 in my draft.
All right.
Kyle Williams' ADP is sitting at 138. Now, I've talked about this last week. Who the hell is taking Kyle Williams at 138? I have never seen it. So how is his ADP 138 if he's never getting taken around pick 138? It doesn't make any sense. The averages don't work out. If he's being drafted at like 160 or 150 all the time, how is his ADP 138? It makes no sense.
Because when people take him early, they take him really early.
But it makes no sense. It just doesn't work. Two running back wide receiver and single flex. Yeah, Burrow can end at QB3. He can, but I don't know. It would take a lot for me to take him before Jaden Daniels, because Burrow doesn't have. I don't think Burrow has that rushing touchdown upside like Jaden Daniels has. But all the big three fly off in the mid-third. It's weird because I feel more secure with an elite quarterback than an elite tight end. You should feel more secure with an elite quarterback than an elite tight end because an elite quarterback can score 40 points and an elite tight end can't. So, I mean, I would be more confident with that as well.
That's math. The maths, as Bob will start saying once we get to the regular season. Love that sentence.
The math. It is my favorite term. I don't have any bringbacks. I'm not happy with that, but all right, whatever. Time to take some chances here.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm not hating the roster I'm building. I don't got an elite quarterback on it.
What round are you in, by the way?
I am in 16.
All right, I'm in 14.
I'm in
so
15.
We can show the team. We can show the teams in a minute. Recon, I could live with Tyler Warren, especially if he's going off the board after Sam Laporta. I could absolutely live with Tyler Warren. No skin off my back with that one. All right. Just picked up Dante Thornton. Oh my God, I have 2 Raiders. Oh. Okay.
Your soul is sad.
No, the worst part is I have 2 Raiders, but I don't have Geno, and I'm not going to take Geno. Which is worse because I have Josh Allen on my team, and I took another quarterback already because I wanted to have a little fun. So we'll see what transpires here. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what your team looks like, and excited to see what you think of my team because I think you're going to be quite upset with my team because it is actually pretty good. It doesn't look strong like in the wide receiver market, but I think it's a strong team. If I don't get the top 3 quarterbacks in a nice place, I'm just getting Knicks or Dak. I'm not. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Especially, and here's the thing to understand too, guys. In a 10-team or 12-team league, there are going to be quarterbacks on the waiver wire that are going to be able to produce weeks that are fantasy relevant. So if you don't get Josh Allen and you are the 8th guy in your league taking a quarterback, it doesn't make any sense to push it. So you're going to see those players getting pushed way down. Once the 7th quarterback goes off the board, the 8th, 9th, 10th guy is going to be like, hey, I'm going to wait. And I'm going to keep pushing it. And I'm going to keep pushing it. And if somebody wants to take a backup, sure. And I end up with Trevor Lawrence, okay, replacement level quarterback and Geno Smith on the waiver wire as well. Sure. Why not? Right. So there are going to be a lot of people thinking about that. And I think it's really important, really, really important to think about that as well. And when you have a good quarterback, you feel more confident. You just feel more confident walking into every week with Josh Allen. You feel way confident walking in a week with Joe Burrow because it's very likely that Joe Burrow throws 3 touchdowns and 300 yards. It is extremely likely that happens on a given week. So you feel more confident with that than trotting out Trevor Lawrence, who might only throw for 2 touchdowns and 225. So, yeah, I understand. I totally understand getting that. For Wednesday's stream, can I look at the ESPN redraft ADP? Absolutely, Recon. With the more preseason games, the more Warren will go up boards. Absolutely. Tucker Kraft, also Magic, is probably going to shoot up some people's boards as well. Most likely.
No, I don't think Kraft's going to get a lot of playing time. So how's it going to shoot up?
I think he'll shoot up people's boards because, like we talked about with the touchdown, he had touchdown upside last year. And with all of the targets there, he does still have the same touchdown upside. He has to be at the right price, though. We've talked about this before. If he's not at the right price, it doesn't make any sense. All right, so 16, 18. All right. All right. We'll take you. I know you had an injury, but that's okay. We'll take you. Yeah, I kind of like this team, Joe. I'm not going to lie to you. All right, so I got 3 wide receivers there. Who do I take? All right. I got some wide receivers lined up. I like that. I like Jalen Hooker too, but I'm not going to take him there. Absolutely, Magic. Looking at these tight ends, I think it's really relevant I'm looking at the ESPN snake draft trends right now. I just want to see where Ninjoku is in this chart. So Ninjoku in snake drafts, Joe, his average pick on ESPN is 81.3.
That makes sense. Like, he's a guy who should be going way higher than he is here.
Evan Ingram is
180 or 120 rather.
And Tyler Warren, can you guess Tyler Warren's ADP? This is nice ADP.
ESPN probably has him, about $120? They probably swapped him.
133.
Yeah, so he's basically swapped him with Njoku.
I don't mind that at all. It has Burrow at 33 and Mahomes at 51. That tracks.
Listen, the ESPN ADP is something you can exploit aggressively. It is very wrong.
1,000% you can exploit it aggressively.
Because they do it for headlines. They don't do it for results. Everything about ESPN is about headlines, not results. That is in part why the UFC today just cut ties with them. Going to Paramount. No more pay-per-view.
Here's the thing, guys. I just want to bring this up, Joe. When your draft is over and when my draft is over, I just want to bring up this quarterback.
My draft's over, Bobby.
All right, I just want to let me bring up mine while we're
all right, so here's my roster for y'all. Collins, Ladd, Evans, Scary Terry, Olave. That would be my first 5 picks, all receivers. Then I got a little running back run. Monty, Tracy, and Warren. Njoku, Herbert, Javonte Williams, Strout, Judkins, Jonnu Smith, Wandale, Gesicki, Shook, and Ollie Gordon.
Oh, you took Ollie. Nice.
I took Ollie.
All right, we're coming up to my.
I put all my money in the receiver bucket early. And while I don't like the fact that I wasted my 5th round pick because Kamara got snagged right before me, I will take Olave. I was loving when Olave was my 3rd receiver. As my 5th receiver.
We're gonna just look at quarterbacks today, but on Wednesday we'll deep dive into some of that ADP nonsense that's happening on ESPN. It is shocking when I look at Yahoo's ADP and I look at ESPN's. It's really wild, and there always seems
that's because Yahoo has to be more accurate because less people use it.
There always seems to be a place in the draft where Downs and Pittman are still there, and they are the best on the board. And I'm always like, oh God, I know I should, but I can't stop scrolling down. I would take one of them.
Take down over Pittman for sure.
Here, I'm going to pull up my screen.
Yeah, throw it up, because I got to bounce here soon anyway.
Yeah, so I'm going to grab Roman Wilson here, but I'll show you my team here, and see what you all think of it, and then I'll pull up the live draft trends to take a look at it. We're going 2-5-8-3 on this one. I think the running backs are strong. And this again,
you had a stud quarterback, so you didn't need 3.
Well, that's
the biggest change.
This is from pick 4. So it's Josh Allen and Bo, Gibbs, Bucky, Henderson, Tracy, Mitchell. I think that's super explosive. Sutton, Jacoby, Juwan, Rashad Bateman, Tillman, Thornton, Royals, and Wilson. I think that's
a lot of receivers.
I think but again, I went receiver late, Joe.
No, I get it. It's a sign that you got no value.
Want to pick up more, and then the tight ends are Njoku, Kincaid, and Likely. I think that's super solid. Like when
those are solid tight ends.
When Likely comes out, I think this is a good draft from pick 4. It is, especially considering if you go 2 running backs and a quarterback through 3 rounds, this is the type of team you're going to draft. So if you're not comfortable with this, don't do this. But
for basically a receiver naked team, that's pretty good.
If you see value there, it's fine. So we're just gonna pull up this nonsense for a minute, right? And this goes to what I'm speaking of about certain quarterbacks more so than anybody else, right? So when we look at the ESPN snake draft trends, and we look at ADP trends for this, you're drawing the line of QB 10 on ESPN being Brock Purdy. So this is what I'm saying. Josh Allen, Lamar, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts are the top 4, So I'm looking at this and saying, okay, once they're off the board, if I'm not taking a quarterback in the 3rd round, if I'm not taking a quarterback in the 4th round, and Mahomes is there, Baker's there in the 6th round, 7th round. If you wait till Baker is off the board, I don't know if I could write a story for you where then the last 3 people in the draft would push Bo, Kyler, or Brock Purdy any more than they need to. So these ADPs of 80, 93, and 96 in a home draft, especially Brock Purdy being the 10th quarterback, could drop a little bit more. And I'm looking at it here, and I see Justin Fields as quarterback 13. I see Jordan Love. Again, Jordan Love didn't have a great season last year, filled with injuries. But I see Jordan Love as quarterback 16 off the board. And if I don't have Josh Allen, Lamar, or Daniels, you could realistically continue to wait and suck up value and grab Love or Drake May. Because if you're looking at quarterback 20 being Cam Ward, and most people in redraft.
Well, here's the point. Goff is 15th. Goff is going to be better, and Love. They're both better than Purdy.
Here's the thing.
So you can sit. You should sit.
In many redraft leagues, I wanted to say most, but I'm going to say in many redraft leagues, most people don't want to carry 2 quarterbacks. If they took the top 4, and even Burrow, they're not carrying 2 quarterbacks. So
I don't think you need to carry 2 quarterbacks if you end up taking Bo Nix.
Hear me out. If you have a quarterback and you took a quarterback up into Joe Burrow, those top 5, right?
Since you're talking quarterbacks, Magic, Daniel Jones is not going to be the starter. They have too much invested in Anthony Richardson not to play Anthony Richardson, broken pinky or whatever.
So if you have a top 5 quarterback, there is a realistic expectation that you are probably not drafting another quarterback. So in a 10-team league, that means half your league is not drafting another quarterback.
At least.
And so the other half is. So that's going to take you from Patrick Mahomes to Jared Goff. And you're saying, and you're not saying, but I'm saying, if you wait, there is a good chance that if you continue to wait, that you could have a team. If you have 2 quarterbacks that you're looking at, you could have a team that's Jordan Love and Drake May and make decisions between those 2 every week, or you can have, Trevor Lawrence.
Tangibly, there's not a difference. Just take the
That's
one.
What I'm saying.
Take them later. Bob, I'm saying you're right, man. I'm saying you're right, Bob. You're being smart knowledge. You drop on people. I think that's the end of the show.
The value is there. So on Wednesday, we're going to start by looking at these ESPN ADP draft trends. They're really interesting. We'll see where running backs, wide receivers fall. Bucky is the 10th running back off the board.
I got him higher than that.
Interesting. I like that. So we'll be with you guys Wednesday, 3:45 Eastern. We'll talk some ESPN redraft. We'll do some more best ball, and we'll see you then 3:45 Eastern. It's been fun.